It's an absolute spectacle with over 100 pro scouts in attendance. It's hosted dozens of MLB draft picks with a former #1 overall selection among the alumni. The Super 60 Pro Showcase has been an undeniable launchpad for talent, and the 22nd iteration of one of Prep Baseball's can't-miss events figures to build on that history. This is Coffee and Curveballs. Cory McCartney, joined as always by Shooter Hunt, as we get ready to take that pilgrimage to Chicago and the Max's 125,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility. Shooter, what's the excitement level like for you as you get ready to see this next crop of draft-eligible talent and what they have in store?
I mean, I'm not even going out there to perform or play, but I still got the butterflies going, a lot of adrenaline. This event really kicks off the draft season, right? The new year, the road to July, that MLB draft. This allows all those scouts, and there's over 100 in attendance at this. A lot of decision makers get eyes on guys coming out of the winter, what to expect in the spring. Hey, circle this name. I have to get to that field. I have to travel here and there. What I love about the event is just like the amount of talent, but not just the frontline guys, but the sleepers, the guys who create some helium. There's so much of that. And I mean, we're at 40 big leaguers right now come from this event.
So take us a little bit inside of what these players are going to go through at the Max.
So it's for a lot of them, and the way I speak to it is like, this might be the last time you run a 60. This might be the last time you're throwing just a bullpen or taking that BP ground balls, the normal pro style workout. But more than anything, it just allows them to reintroduce themselves to the scouting community. Or if you have some crossover guys from all over the country, it allows area scouts to see guys outside of their realm. It allows cross-checkers to have a one-stop shop to see all these players. But it also creates an incredible atmosphere where all the scouts are right on top of the players. It really has that almost Broadway feel to it, where you go out there, put on a show. You guys have all done this before. Let's go out here and do big things, but then continue to bring it into the spring.
So nearly 24 players ranked within Prep Baseball's top 150 slated to be in attendance. But before we look forward, Shooter, let's take a look back, because the likes of Max Clark and Jared Kelenic have made the most of this moment. Alec Thomas, Gavin Lux too. Star power, it's not been a problem when it comes to this event.
No, and especially that front line. You talk about that 2018 class where you had Alec Thomas, a local kid who had a big postseason this year for the D-backs. He ended up being a top 50 pick. Jared Kelenic, who was outstanding, one of the premier event showings in the history of the 20+ years. But Max Clark, everybody knows who Max Clark is. He came to show out, and a lot of times for the scouts, hey, they're not coming here to be wowed in 2 rounds of BP. They're coming in here to see what adjustments have been made. And Max kind of personified that last year. He had made some adjustments to his swing. He came to the event, was able to show those off. He goes through the spring. He ends up being the 3rd overall pick there to the Tigers. So that's kind of some of the stuff that the scouting community is coming out. And I got to give a shout out to Ben Hernandez, who in 2020 was outstanding, just playing catch 94 to 95 before getting a big time draft pick with the Royals.
So Blake Wolters tore the house down on the mound a year ago, riding that Super 60 performance to ultimately becoming the 44th overall pick by the Royals. The potential for a breakout is very, very real. How have you seen that play out when scouting this event?
Yeah, you talked about Walters. I don't think I've ever seen something like that. He was kind of a late addition. Diego Solares, one of our scouts there in Missouri and Illinois, did a great job getting Blake into the event as a former basketball player. What a great kid. He's got big things in store, some triple digits in his arm. But also at that event, Naz Zanatello, who was a known name on the national stage, but had not made that monster jump. His metrics were through the chart at the Super 60. It helped him get, I think, $3 million from the Red Sox last year. But Ryan Cusick, a right-hander in 2018, he went on to Wake Forest and then became a first rounder with the Braves. But he was outstanding. It was back in 2018 where you were not seeing 93, 94 as much as we are today. He touched 95, I believe, at that event with an explosive fastball as we were introducing some advanced metrics there. Owen Casey in 2020, a Canadian left-handed stick who I was floored by. He was a former future gamer, really swung it well there, elevated himself throughout the draft prospect, and now is one of the top prospects in baseball. I think in 21, kind of the COVID Super 60, if you will, where we moved off site to Wisconsin. Braden Montgomery, who's going to be a first rounder this year at Texas A&M. Carter Jensen had an explosive showing from the left side as a bat in his way to getting a seven-figure bonus, one of the better prospects in baseball. And then Noah Miller, who was outstanding local kid from Wisconsin, ended up being a first rounder that year. Also, Ben Broody coming in 2022, a kid from New England who then ended up signing, and showing some really good stuff so far as well.
I think in your mind, you talk about those guys that kind of make the most of it. Does that kind of show to you the strength of what this platform has become and really the opportunity that it poses for these players?
Without a doubt, and the event has grown into such a big spectacle, but it always comes back to the people. We have such great in-house scouts and personnel that are able to identify this talent. And I'm looking at a guy on our list here, like Henry Davis, who was the first overall pick, comes to the Super 60 in 2018, less heralded. You got Jared Kelenic there, Houck Thomas, Cusick's throwing cheese. And Henry Davis, hey, good player, good arm behind the plate. He goes on to Louisville. He becomes the first overall pick. But just the fact that our New York guys were able to identify Henry Davis can play. And that's what I love about what we're able to do. We bring that national presence, but at a hyper local level, we're able to identify those guys. And I think there's a lot of those dudes who will be coming this year, some of quote unquote sleepers or guys to watch that I'm excited to see.
So yeah, you can have those star turning moments. You can have the guys who plant the seeds for the future. And I'm not expecting you to forecast the next Walters or even that guy a la Davis that ends up turning it into something years from now. But look, you've got a double-digit number of players in the top 100 nationally. Plenty of guys looking to increase their stock. Who are maybe those intriguing players for you as you get ready to go to the Super 60?
And I could sit here and do all of those guys because they wouldn't be coming if they weren't draft prospects and if they weren't good. When they step in there, it's like we always talk about, hey, who took a great BP? I mean, all these guys should take good BP. If not, they shouldn't be here. But one guy at the top who was kind of banged up a little bit this summer, so I don't think as many guys got to see him on the mound, but Cash Mayfield, a left-handed arm out of the state of Oklahoma, an Oklahoma State recruit. Early on, he's one of the premier arms in this class. Kind of didn't get to see a lot of him throughout the summer on the national stage. So I think a lot of the scouts will get a first glimpse. Starter profile, frame looks the part, and he pounds the zone. So it's going to be a good low, maybe mid 90s showing there at the Super 60. I think he could really explode. Jace Souza, an outfielder from Hawaii, committed to Texas Tech. He's flying all the way from the islands. Former Little League World Series champion. So I'm excited to see what he has. I think he has a chance to kind of, sniff his way into that day one consideration with a good showing here, if not heading to Lubbock and doing it while on campus. A right-hander, Griffin Tobias, who's been one of my favorites since his first day he stepped into high school. Former shortstop. I think what he's doing on the mound right now is going to open some eyes. I'm sure area guys in the Midwest and Indiana know all about Griffin Tobias, but I think he has a chance to make a national name for himself at the Super 60. Similar to Chris Lavonis, a right-hander from New Jersey. Big explosive arm. It's hard to bet against a guy who's committed to Wake Forest right now with that pitching factory that they've built. Crazy spin metrics, really dynamic delivery. Ball jumps out of the hands. I think we could see some electric stuff from Lavonis. And then one guy from down by you, an outfielder, Khalil Pratt, Kentucky recruit from Georgia. Had a really big future games for us. Dude's a bucket on the hardwood there in basketball. So I'm excited to see what he's able to bring to the Super 60 and hopefully open some eyes.
Yeah, if you haven't done it yet, check out this that Khalil Pratt posterizing dunk that he had. I think absolutely went viral. So, dude just is an absolute athlete. It's going to be an exciting weekend in Chicago, so stick around because we're going to have plenty of coverage coming out of the Super 60 across all the prep baseball platforms. Until next time, I'm Cory McCartney, that's Shooter Hunt, and we'll see you at the Diamond.